Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'm back. It's been a while since I've done a review, and that is my next review. Well, today's review I'm going to be doing, continuing my year of WCW, when I'm looking back at these old WCW pay-per-views. This time around, we're going to 1994, 30 years later for this show, for its 30th anniversary. Bash at the Beach from 1994 took place in Orlando, Florida at the Orlando Arena on July 17th in 1994. So, this was Hulk Hogan's big debut for WCW. Yes, that's right. Hulk Hogan debuts for WCW. He signed with WCW in June. He's more leaner than the Hulk Hogan of old, or shall I say, from the 80s. Now he's a lot more leaner. But still, he's going to be taking on the WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair, as he's challenging Ric Flair for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. So, on commentary for this show, you have Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan, but also Jesse the Body Ventura, calls a couple of matches on this show as well. So yes, the stars are all over the place. This guy Chris Lemon, who was a big television star back in the 90s. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, who will present the winner of the main event with the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And even Hank Aaron, the baseball legend himself, Hank Aaron, was even in attendance at this show. Yes, Hank Aaron was even here at this show. So, here we are. We started off with the national anthem, and now we're getting into our first match for the WCW World's TV Championship. And our first match on the show, we have Lord Steven Regal with Sir William defeating Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Marrow, a.k.a. Marvelous Mark Marrow, or a.k.a. Wildman Mark Marrow. But yeah, this was a really solid matchup here. Nothing too fancy. Originally, Sting was supposed to face Steven Regal, but, he had cornea damage done to him by Sensational Sherry, or Sensuous Sherry, or we could just call her Sherry. Yeah. During a match Sting had against Ric Flair on WCW Saturday Night, Sherry scratched Sting's eyes, Sting had damage to his eyes, so he's unable to compete for the TV title tonight. So taking his place was Johnny B. Bad. Anyway, they work a lot of... Regal gets his arm worked over pretty well in this match. Despite the fact that, Marrow is not really known for being a technical wrestler, it was still a really, really good match to start the show off. Of course, the inside and outside of the ring are covered with a lot of this crap, this garbage stuff, like this confetti and glitter and all that crap. It's just crazy, and it goes on through the entire show as well. But like I said, this is a really good match. Regal, we see reverse after reverse, but like Sir William tried to help Regal with a leverage pin by Regal grabbing onto Sir William's umbrella. Referee kicked that away, then led to Marrow trying to pin Regal, but then Regal reversed that. 1, 2, 3, and Regal is still your TV champion. And yeah, Bobby the Brain Heenan goes backstage, and then Jesse the Body Ventura comes out. Of course, before we get into our second and third matches of this show, we have a award ceremony for Antonio Inoki. That's right. the founder of New Japan, the late Antonio Inoki. He's being given a trophy, by WCW for his, for his contributions to professional wrestling. And then Regal comes back out. He's trying to mess with Inoki. He's trying to pick a fight with Inoki. He's talking about how he's sick and tired of all these legends and everything, and how he's beaten so many legends, especially the ones in Japan, and you were nowhere to be found from all the Japanese legends I've beaten. Oh, and Inoki throws his suit jacket. He throws his suit jacket on the floor, and he wants a piece of Regal, and Regal, he's daring Regal to come at him, and Regal retreats back to the locker room, even though we just saw him compete. Speaking of someone who had history with Antonio Inoki, we have our next match. It is Big Van Vader with Handsome Harley Race defeating the Guardian Angel, formerly known as the Big Boss Man, aka Ray Traylor, aka he would later become Big Bubba. And it is what it was. There were some really good counters in this match. This match wasn't too bad, but yeah, the DQ finish really kills this match. It ends when Harley Race tries to throw Vader a baton. Then Ray Traylor, or the Guardian Angel, steals the baton and tries to use it on Vader, but was caught by the referee before he could even try to use it, and the referee ends up disqualifying the Guardian Angel, leading to Vader getting a victory. Okay, this match wasn't too bad, but at least it wasn't as bad as the next match coming up, and boy, I gotta say, this one was not that great of a match. And this feud has been going on since April, since Spring Stampede, and it continued on into May with Slamboree, the issues between Bunkhouse Buck and Dustin Rhodes, and also, not to mention, Terry Funk, who also had issues with the Rhodes family, because Terry Funk does not like Dusty Rhodes at all. And, of course, after Dustin was beaten down at Slamboree by Terry Funk, Bunkhouse Buck, and, of course, Colonel Rob Parker, Dustin decides to make a pact with the devil, and that ended up being in the form of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson gave Dustin his answer at Clash of the Champions, and, well, Dustin got his answer. So it's now set for a tag team match, as you have Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck with Colonel Rob Parker and Haku, aka Ming. That's right, Ming is also, in the corner of the heel team. Yes, and he's wearing a suit. I can never get over the image of seeing Ming in a suit. And of course, now you have Dustin and Arn Anderson coming out, and the match wasn't all that great. Dustin was in this match for 95% of this match. Arn was only in the match at the very beginning until he tagged Dustin in. And then the match ends when Dustin tags Arn in, and then Arn Anderson nails Dustin Rhodes with a DDT, leading to him putting Terry Funk on top of Dustin. 1, 2, 3, Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk are your winners. And now we get a massive beatdown as Arn Anderson, Terry Funk, Bunkhouse Buck, Colonel Rob Parker, they're all beating down Dustin Rhodes. They're beating the hell out of Dustin. Dustin's getting the hell beaten out of him. And then, of course, This was calls for the heels to celebrate, but Mean Gene Okerlund's trying to stop them, and he's yelling, Arn Anderson, what the hell is your problem? And Arn Anderson says, you want to talk to me? Well, why don't you try to go and meet with us in the back when we're partying, when we're starting our party later. So we're going to throw a huge party, and they do throw a huge party in their own locker room. Next, we get a Ric Flair promo as Ric Flair and Sensational Sherry, or Ric Flair and Sherry. Now, of course, Ric Flair talks about, to be the man, you gotta beat the man, and that's what you gotta do, Hulk Hogan. The match that everyone has been talking about for years, it's finally going to happen. And then Sherry chimes in, Sherry, I would say with this promo, it was a really solid promo. I'll give it that. Sherry, gotta say, pretty underrated promo. Pretty underrated mic talker, I think Sherry might have been. I think no one really talks about how good of a trash talker Sherry was. I'm kind of surprised they don't talk about how good of a trash talker Sherry is, because she can talk some really good trash. I'm kind of surprised they don't. I'm kind of surprised when it comes to mic talkers, no one really talks about Sherry. Because, hey, stop it. Stupid dog. Next up, we get the match of the night for the WCW United States Championship, as stunning Steve Austin defeats Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This, I believe, was Steamboat's last match for 15 years, until 2009, when he would have that program with Chris Jericho. Yeah, this was Steamboat's last match for 15 years. Yeah. 15 years between this and Backlash 2009, when he would have that incredible match with Chris Jericho. Ricky Steamboat, gotta say, he definitely earned his moniker as one of the all-time greats for a reason. And in this match with Steve Austin, it definitely launched Steve Austin to the stratosphere even further. I believe this match should have given WCW the idea to push this guy to the main event status, but no. We are just going to have him be a mid-carder guy at best. This match should have proven to WCW that Austin should have been their next big star. They had someone that could have carried their company forward. WCW would have still been around had they pushed Steve Austin to the moon. Had Steve Austin been that guy that would have carried their company into the new millennium. But no, they rather have an established guy like Hulk Hogan, who made his name in the rival company, be their main event star. And don't worry, I'll get to Hogan when I get to him. But yeah, this was a great wrestling match between Steamboat and Austin. I love the near falls in this match. Austin kept trying to get himself disqualified, but he beats Steamboat after countering Steamboat's crossbody into a pin, and Austin, I believe, had his feet on the ropes. Yeah, Austin had his feet on the ropes. Referee didn't see it. 1, 2, 3. And stunning Steve Austin is still your United States Championship. What an incredible bout this was. Probably the best match Austin had during his time in WCW. That and when he was part of the Dangerous Alliance's War Games team. This was a guy who should have been the WCW World Champion. This is a guy who should have been WCW World Champion. And now we got our next match, which is going to be pitting Pretty Wonderful, that's right, Paul Orndorff and Paul Roma, as they take on the team of Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan, with brother Dave Sullivan, aka Evad, as he calls him. And this match actually was the better of the two tag team matches we had here. It was a contrast of styles. You had the brawling style of Kevin Sullivan and Cactus Jack taking on the more technical side of Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff. Paul Orndorff for 1994 still looked incredible. I'll tell you that his physique still looked incredible in 1994. Can you dig it? Yes, I can dig it. But yes, this was a really good match. Roma and Orndorff got the win when Orndorff would pin Cactus, with Roma holding Cactus's leg outside of the ring on the ring apron. And the referee didn't see it, but that Cactus foot was under the bottom rope, but because he was being held by Paul Roma. An awesome match this was. And Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff, Pretty Wonderful, will become the new World Tag Team Champions. Really, really good match here for Paul Orndorff and Paul Roma, as they're celebrating and they're the new tag team champions. Now we're getting back to the backstage area, and of course Bobby Heenan, or not Bobby Heenan I meant to say, but Mean Gene Okerlund goes back to Colonel Rob Parker's dressing room with Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck, and they're all drinking champagne, smoking cigars. I love how Bunkhouse Buck says cigars. And then there's Arn Anderson, and they got a whole bunch of ladies surrounding Arn Anderson, and Arn Anderson says this, he gives his answer. Dustin Rhodes, you wanted to make a deal with the devil? You wanted the old Arn Anderson back? Well, you got your wish. You know, and the devil always comes to collect. And I felt like collecting right now. And that's kind of the thing with Arn Anderson. He'll tell you straight up that this is no BS. That this is no jive. This is no jerkin. This is no jive. It's just straight up business with Arn Anderson. And that's how Arn Anderson always has been. Just a man of business. It's always been business. And now, here we go. We're getting into it. Michael Buffer is out at ringside. He prepares to announce both men coming out. He brings out Nick Bockwinkel, the commissioner of WCW, the WCW's commissioner, Nick Bockwinkel. And then, of course, now he brings out Shaquille O'Neal, the man who will be presenting the winner with the WCW World title. And then out comes Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion, with Sensational Sherry, or Sensual Sherry. Yeah, Ric Flair comes out with Sherry. Then here comes Hogan. Here he comes. The Hulkster's back, and the fans go absolutely freaking nuts. Hulk Hogan comes out, flagged by Jimmy Hart, and Mr. T. I pity the fool, Mr. T. Yes, that's right, Mr. T. Since, of course, WCW during this time period was all about bringing back the magic of yesteryear. Bringing back the good old days of Hulkamania. And, well, and the first step to doing that was bringing back Mr. T, and also having Jimmy Hart there, as he's also managing Hogan. So here we are. We got Mr. T. We got Jimmy Hart. And now we got the Hulkster himself. And now we're on to it. The match is on. World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair, decked out in all purple. Hulk Hogan in his trademark yellow and red, with new yellow wrist tape. Yeah. Remember how Hogan used to wear white wrist tape back when he was wrestling in the Federation, and now he's wearing yellow wrist tape? With also a new Hulkamania shirt as well, and a new bandana to boot. So, yeah. The match is on. You have some fans all dressed up like Hulk Hogan. You got a little Hulkster there. So, this was actually a really good main event. I'm going to be honest, this was a really good main event that featured Hulk Hogan. Just like how I talked about his main event at Spring Stampede 99 back in April, and this one was another good one here. For a debut match for Hulk Hogan, this was a really good debut match. Flair, he kept trying to put the figure four on Hogan. Hogan kicked out of the figure four 3 times. Of course, Hulk would Hulk up. Flair, he would try to use a foreign object, of course, because Ric Flair's the dirtiest player in the game. Woo! Sorry, I just had to do one woo. And even Sherry attempts to hit Hogan with a chair, only for Jimmy Hart to unarm Sherry. He takes the chair away from Sherry, as Sherry is trying to hit Hogan with the chair. And Sherry gets unarmed, and then Mr. T, carries Sherry away from ringside so she wouldn't interfere anymore. Of course, Hulk would hit his signature patented moves. He would hit the patented Hogan leg drop. 1, 2, 3. Hulk Hogan is the new World Heavyweight Champion as he begins celebrating, and of course Bobby Heenan, who, if you know the history between Heenan and Hogan, Heenan, he was all deflated that his man Ric Flair lost. And he's like, I don't want to talk, okay? I'm in shock. I mean, it was the greatest match I've ever seen. But I still, had this bad outcome that was a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, yeah, of course, if you know the history between Heenan and Hogan, and hell, Jesse Ventura earlier, during the second match, even picked Ric Flair to win as well. And even Jesse Ventura, Jesse Ventura left after he called the third match. And then Bobby Heenan came back. Of course, they made jokes about Dusty. Of course, Bobby Heenan had to make jokes about Dusty having to go pick his kid up from the hospital by getting in the pickup truck. Anyway, yeah, Hogan is backstage. He's celebrating in the catering area. He's flagged by not only Jimmy Hart and Mr. T, but you got Hacksaw Jim Duggan there. You got Brutus the Barber Beefcake there. Shaquille O'Neal, Hank Aaron. Everyone is celebrating with the Hulkster for his world title win. And yes, and he says, I'm ready to take on anybody who's ready to step up. And of course, during this show, they also did promote Fall Brawl for '94 as well. So of course, WCW has always got to promote their pay-per-views that on their other pay-per-views. But yeah, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time when I tackle WCW's Road Wild from 1999. That's right, I'm going to be doing Road Wild 99. See ya!